Let's talk about language. As I have grown into teaching this class, I've really enjoyed teaching about language, mainly because I have my own children who will learn more about language and development as well, who have kind of learned from birth to a young age to navigate and be able to speak. So it's really fascinating and really interesting. So let's get into the basics of it. Okay, so what's the structure of language? So we begin with phonemes. Phonemes or phonemes, potato, potato, smallest single units of language, right? And we have 44 base sounds. You probably remember a program, possibly when you were young, called Hooked on Phonics, right? And that's what this is, phonemes. So these are, like b, t, ch, things like that, okay? And in schools, you'll see a list of the 44 base sounds. Here are some really funny, creative examples that I pulled for you from commercials, where they use these sounds in ways to shift meaning in the commercials. And you'll kind of understand how and why phonemes are important when you watch these, because even the smallest sound, if off by a little bit, can drastically change the meaning. So interesting, I'll let you check those out. Morphemes, these are the smallest units that carry meaning, and these can be base words like it, or prefixes, suffixes, all that kind of stuff. Okay. There's also a list of those morphemes on Schoology as well. And then grammar, as hopefully you're aware of, this is just a system of rules for language that allows us to communicate. And that is both verbal and written. There are ways that we talk and the words that we use and the order and the tone and punctuation and inflection that change meaning. And how we master those is important to our ability to communicate, to get along, to socialize, and to survive. So we got semantics, okay? These are rules of making meanings out of sounds. Okay? Semantically, you can put things together, and how you say it, how you pronunciate, and everything else can change the meaning of what's going on. You can also see some semantics being played with in those examples that I gave you. And then syntax, combining words to make sentences. Okay? So doing that right now as I'm explaining this to you, you do it every single day as you're talking, writing, and so on. So where does it come from, right? We start with receptive language at a very early age. Okay? Being able to recognize words, phrases, speech, and that happens at about 4 to 6 months, where young children can start to understand their name. Things like food, dog. While they can't vocalize it and say it yet, they can start to associate those terms, recognize that speech, and apply it to things in their environment. Okay. Productive language, okay, being able to speak, happens right about the 1-year mark, and really small and slow, and usually in very staccato one-word chunks, right? So my 1.5-year-old is, starting to grow his vocabulary, but the staples are things like mama, dada, doggy, ball, food, milk, things like that, right? So very basic language. So right about 2 years is where you'll start to see combining of words, and possibly for an advanced speaker, even forming very small basic sentences, although probably grammatically, semantically, and syntactically not totally accurate just yet because they don't have comprehension of that, but they're starting to put things usually in telegraphic speech like see ball go, things like that. So here's your telegraphic speech, mimics what children see, sounding like an old telegram. Go car, eat food, up mama. So very basic building blocks of sentence structure, but as we know it, being more advanced speakers, not exactly sentence building. Okay. And this is a cool video I'll let you check out on baby speech development, and it kind of walks you through some of the early stages from babbling to telegraphic speech and so on. Next, and we learned a little bit about this when we were doing the anatomy section of the brain. But aphasia, language impairments. Okay, these are usually due to an injury in one of two places, an injury or an illness that has messed up the connectivity there. And again, that's Broca's area and Wernicke's area. Like both of them crucial to speech production and speech understanding. I'll leave this for you to check out on your own, but it kind of walks through language, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now. And then we got linguistic determinism. Okay, the language that we use changes the way that we think and the way that we interact. So knowing that we speak English for the most part is our primary language in our classes. Some of you may be bilingual and have a dominant language at home, but understanding that the world is different because we speak English compared to somebody who speaks Spanish or Portuguese or Mandarin, etc. There are words that we have that they don't have, and vice versa. There are meanings that are ascribed to words. There are ways that we say and gesture things to be able to understand one another, cultural differences, if you will. Okay, so that falls under pragmatics. Okay? Using language to be able to understand our behavior. So why we say certain things. And these jokes down here are kind of that idea, right? So I'll let you kind of read those and kind of play with their meanings and how words, not directly spoken, invoke meaning of what's going on. Okay, so we'll have a lot more with language as the year rolls on. But this is a cool intro.